You think brainwashing is loud. You think it's interrogation rooms, blinking lights, and screaming demands. But the truth is much quieter. It begins the moment you stop fighting back against something small. The moment you let it in, it might come in the form of kindness, a compliment from someone in power, a little reward for obedience, a bit of relief after stress. The real first step in any brainwashing process isn't force its relief, a relief from the storm that was purposefully created. The chaos, the noise, the confusion, it all sets the stage. And when the manipulator offers a calm voice or a solution, you take it. You think they've saved you. You don't realize they lit the fire in the first place. This is called dependency conditioning, and it's how cults start. It's how prisoners of war change sides. It's how people abandon everything they once believed in. They're first broken just enough to reach for stability, and then that stability is given in a very controlled, manipulative form. Controlled food, controlled sleep, controlled language, controlled routine. And the scariest part? It feels safe. You become grateful to your captor. That's not an exaggeration, it's the core of coercive persuasion, a technique documented in real psychological studies from the Korean War to modern cults like Heaven's Gate and NXIVM. And it always begins with disrupting your identity. You are no longer a doctor, a father, a free thinker, an individual. You are someone in training, someone becoming better. That's the language used: reform, healing, evolution, purpose. But the actual goal isn't healing you, it's deconstructing you. Your thoughts are examined, your doubts are punished, your language is corrected. You're told how dangerous your past mind was, how unsafe your old beliefs were, and how much better things will be if you just let go of who you were, of what you think, of what you believe. Day by day, your choices are slowly replaced. You don't choose what to eat. You don't choose when to sleep. You don't choose what to read. And that's the trick. The less you choose, the more your brain starts to atrophy in its independence. Soon, it feels easier to let others decide. And the longer that comfort grows, the harder it is to resist. This is the foundation of brainwashing, the systematic erosion of identity, choice, and reality, not by forcing new beliefs into your mind, but by softly deleting the ones you had. In places like North Korea, this is built into the education system. Children are taught that obedience is truth and doubt is a disease. In Western societies, it's more subtle: media repetition, fear marketing, ideological bubbles, but the goal is the same. When you no longer recognize yourself and you're grateful for it, the transformation is complete. And by then, you don't even know it happened. They don't just change you, they change the world around you, piece by piece, until nothing you see, hear, or think belongs entirely to you anymore. That's the second layer of real brainwashing. It's not enough to make you obedient. They have to reconstruct your entire perception of reality. And the most terrifying thing, they can do it without drugs, without pain, without touching you. They just control the inputs. What you read, what you're allowed to say, what expressions you're permitted to show, who you're surrounded by, what stories you're told, what things are never mentioned again. Think of your mind like a mirror reflecting the world around it. Now imagine someone slowly covering parts of that mirror. A little black paint in the corners, a smear across the middle, a crack in the side. Not all at once, just slowly, gradually. And after a while, you don't even remember what the full mirror looked like. You forget there ever was anything outside that frame. This technique is called information control. It's not just about what you're told, it's also about what's withheld. The forbidden books, the censored words, the names you're not allowed to mention. Whole areas of knowledge are made dangerous. Whole histories are erased. People who disagree are labeled evil, mad, sick, or infected. And you're told again and again that this is for your protection. It's easier than you think to fall into this trap. In cults, the leader is the single source of truth. In political systems, the party or nation becomes the sacred lens. In personal manipulation, it might be a lover, a mentor, a savior figure who seems to always know better than you do. Soon, you no longer question the filter. You forget you're even looking through one. And here's where the transformation becomes irreversible. They teach you to police yourself. You don't need someone to control your thoughts anymore. You'll do it on your own. You'll feel guilt when you question things. You'll correct yourself when a forbidden idea appears in your head. You'll report your own doubts like crimes. You'll begin to feel pride in your self-censorship. This is called thought reform. It's not just external control anymore. It's internal loyalty, loyalty to something that's actively destroying your ability to see, think, and feel freely. And once that shift happens, reality itself becomes fungible, malleable, changeable. Not because reality changed, but because your frame of reference did. And once someone owns the lens you use to look at the world, they own everything you see. Even when you think you're choosing freely, you're only choosing from the options they've allowed you to have. You're not free. You're conditioned. And by the time you realize that, it's already too late. At first, you resist. Even if the world around you is being rewritten, something inside still says this isn't right. A faint pulse in your chest, a flicker behind your eyes. It doesn't make sense, and you can't explain it, but it's there. That feeling is dangerous to them, so they get rid of it. Not by force, not with violence. They don't destroy your identity. They hijack it. It starts with praise when you conform. When you say the right thing, believe the approved thought, or turn against someone who asks the wrong questions. You feel pride, validation, warmth. They reward you for becoming less of yourself. And they punish you not always directly when the old self tries to fight back. Disapproval, silence, a subtle change in tone. Suddenly, you're not one of us anymore. The group looks at you differently. The mentor's eyes lose that warmth. You're alone again. And in that loneliness, your mind does something terrifying. It self-amputates. You cut off the part of you that doesn't fit, the memory that doesn't match, the doubt that doesn't align, the feeling that doesn't serve your new reality. You bury it. You call it irrational. You say, that was the old me. And with every cut, the person you were fades. This is the most brutal part of brainwashing, not what they do to you, but what you do to yourself. You dismantle your identity, piece by piece, believing it's your idea, because they've made you believe that obedience is healing, that submission is growth, that your old instincts were the illness, and they've given you a cure. This is called ego reprogramming when the victim becomes the enforcer. When you silence the thoughts that could free you, when you ridicule others for asking the questions you used to ask, when you smile while betraying your own mind because now it feels right. And all of it happens inside you. In silence, without a sound, you wake up one day and realize you no longer miss your past self because that person is a stranger, a wrong version of you, an error. Now, you feel peace, but it's not real peace. It's numbness, stability by surrender, calm through obedience. And worst of all, you think it's freedom, but it's not. It's a carefully constructed prison built from inside your skull. And the door was never locked. You just stopped trying to open it. It doesn't happen overnight. Real brainwashing is never a single event. It's a process, slow, methodical, terrifying in its precision, and it has one secret weapon: repetition, not just of words, of feelings, of experiences, of silences. They don't just tell you something over and over. They make you feel it again and again until it becomes your truth. First, they isolate you, not just physically, emotionally, intellectually. They strip away conflicting voices. They drown out old values. They separate you from your past, not by taking it away, but by making it seem irrelevant. They tell you who you are, what matters, who's right, who's dangerous. Then they let time do the rest. Because when you hear the same idea enough times, even if you once knew it was false, your mind eventually gives in. Your neurons rewire. Synapses form new paths. Your inner dialogue changes tone. The lie becomes background noise, then belief, then identity. You don't even notice when it happens. It's not a moment. It's a slow erosion, like wind over stone, like water carving a canyon through your skull. They don't even need to monitor you anymore because you start doing it yourself. When the old thoughts creep in, you silence them. Not because you're forced to, but because they feel wrong. They make you uncomfortable. They feel like a threat to your peace. So you choose the lie over and over again until it's not a choice anymore. Now the truth feels foreign, even painful. It doesn't fit. It's ugly. It violates your sense of order, of safety, of identity. And the people who still believe it, who try to remind you who you were, you see them as enemies, threats, dangerous, misguided, even evil. You distance yourself. You forget their names. You stop returning their calls. You rewrite your memories so they feel less important. You say, they don't get it. They're stuck in the past. They're toxic. You don't realize that what they are is free, because freedom doesn't feel good after you've lived too long without it. It feels cold, empty, overwhelming. You were trained to crave the cage, and now you protect it with your life. Because the deeper truth is this: when a lie becomes your source of meaning, defending it becomes a form of survival. By now, you don't question it anymore. Not the story, not the version of yourself you tell the world, not the ideas you repeat in your mind every morning when you wake up. They are you. And even if somewhere deep down there's a whisper of doubt, you silence it before it finishes the sentence. Because if you let that whisper grow, even for a second, everything crumbles. Everything you built, everything you sacrificed, everything you became. You didn't just adopt a belief, you burned your past for it. You betrayed people you once loved. You gave up your doubts, your instincts, your resistance. You became the machine that once controlled you. And now you run it. You repeat the lies to others. You train them the way you were trained. You pass on the sickness, dressed up as safety, as truth, as care. You don't do it maliciously. You're not trying to hurt anyone. You genuinely believe you're helping them. That's the most terrifying part. The best brainwashing doesn't create puppets. It creates missionaries. People who convert others with sincerity, with emotion, with conviction. People who would take a bullet for a cause that never cared about them. Who would destroy their own child's identity to protect the truth? Who will lie with a straight face and pass a polygraph because they no longer know it's a lie. And one day, if that crack in reality ever returns, if you glimpse for a moment what you used to believe, who you used to be, you'll feel a rush of terror, a pain you can't name, a collapse in your chest like the air is being pulled out of your lungs. Because now freedom isn't just foreign, it's dangerous. Because to face the truth would mean admitting you were wrong about everything, about yourself. And some minds, once twisted enough, never come back. They would rather die in the lie than live in a truth that ruins their identity. This is the end game of real brainwashing, not control through force, but obedience through identity, through love, through belief, not chains around your wrists, but chains inside your thoughts. The scariest part, most of them don't even know it happened. And if it happened to you, you wouldn't know either. Not unless something breaks. Not unless someone makes you feel what you forgot. Not unless something hurts so badly that it rattles the walls of your illusion. But if that moment never comes, then the lie wins and it will look just like the truth forever.